I'm sure you've always been told that you need to control your anger, that you need to manage your anger, that you need to get rid of your anger. And philosophies like Zen and Stoicism, they all have these approaches to dissipate your anger. And while this is important to be able to release emotional charge like anger that exists within your system, it is also important to have a deeper understanding of exactly what anger is so that you can have a healthy relationship with it. What would it be like if anger was actually a gift for you and you could use it to create an amazing, beautiful life? It begins with the understanding of anger. Welcome to the Zen Stoic Path, where we share a modern take on timeless wisdom to help you create unshakable inner peace. I'm your host, Victor Pierantoni. Let's get into the show. Now, for myself, I've been reflecting a lot lately on my own anger and diving in and exploring it with a sense of curiosity. Because as a kid, anger was always this demonized feeling or emotion. Anytime I might have gotten angry as a child, I was told that I was losing control and that this wasn't good and that I needed to just not be angry. Now, on the surface, that seems like decent enough advice, pretty usual stuff. However, what it is failing to do, it is failing to understand the actual feeling itself and what it actually is. So, in this episode, we're going to be diving into the virtue of anger and what exactly it is giving you and what exactly it is communicating to you when you feel it. So, part of my reflection that I realize is that anger and what we call anger is this violent explosiveness that occurs through our words and actions. It's something that we express externally, and we usually express to people who have violated our boundaries or that we don't feel respected by, or we feel that they're doing something that doesn't go the way that we want life to go. Any number of these things can be the expression of anger or can trigger the expression of anger in people. What we know as anger in our society is actually its mirror opposite of its true essence. What I've realized anger to be, and what I wanted to share with you on this podcast today, is how the essence of anger is the internal living flame that allows us to feel alive. Essentially, anger is the deep sense of love and care that we have for ourselves, for our bodies, for the world, for the people that we love, and for life itself. And this feeling is very intense. This level of love, compassion, and protection that we have within ourselves can be extremely intense and overwhelming at times. And when we're younger, we don't really have a capacity to hold all of these feelings. And so they erupt and they come out as this expression, this outburst of anger or rage. But the reality is that anger and the way that we feel it, especially when it seems to come out of our control, is actually the overwhelm in our system of the intensity and the rawness of our sensation of our perceived powerlessness over the protection of the things that we truly love in this life, whether that's the protection of ourselves, of our own dignity, the protection of our bodies, the protection of the people that we love. And when we feel powerless to essentially protect these things that we hold so dearly, the feeling of anger comes up within us. But the thing is, anger can be a very powerful tool that we use. We can use anger to act. We can use anger to move into meaningful action and actually construct a lot with anger. Or anger can be destructive, which is how we normally know it as a society, which is where it comes out in this outburst. The thing is, with any emotion, especially anger, if we don't allow ourselves to feel it, if we don't allow ourselves to understand it, and we just demonize it as this bad thing that is the cause of all of our problems, then we're going to eventually have some form of an eruption in it, or in some cases, people turn their anger inwards on themselves and create dis-ease in the body, whether you're creating physical pain, a physical ailment of some kind. If we hold our anger in and we fail to understand it, and we don't turn it out on the world, but we turn it in on ourselves, then we end up just damaging ourselves. So the holding on to anger or the attempt to cover it up and never allow it out is actually hurting us internally. However, it also hurts people externally when we just outburst. So what do we actually do? The first step is to actually understand what it is. The way that I see anger is like the spirit of fire itself. Now, fire, left to its own devices and wielded unintentionally, can eventually turn into a wildfire and burn everything that we hold dear down to the ground, just like an outburst of anger could, or an act that is coming from a place of anger could. However, fire also, when channeled and used intentionally, lights up our homes, it powers our vehicles, it heats our food, and it even serves as the very thing that we sit around and bond over when it's a campfire. So when we think about anger as this internal living flame, it is this sensation of that inner powerlessness over our external environment. When we hold dear things to us that are outside of our control, sometimes the feeling that might come up is a sense of anger, or first it might be a sense of fear and then a sense of anger to protect that which we love. But if we never actually sit and take the time to understand it, then it can be very destructive. But if you think about it, not everybody's anger is the same, right? We've all mislabeled this experience, but we've all felt some version of this ourselves. And when I say that we've mislabeled it, oftentimes we might have been feeling scared and one of our parents said, hey, don't be angry. And so maybe when we feel angry, we actually feel scared, truly on the inside. So first and foremost, it's important to understand that not everybody's anger is the same thing. Not the sensations are not all the same thing, but what is important is to understand within yourself when you feel that bubbling up within yourself, when you feel that intensity of emotions that you can't seem to control or to wield, and you feel this intensity, this rawness within yourself, what is important is, like the Stoics would say, the best antidote to anger is delay. In other words, to just sit with it. Not to act on it immediately, but to sit with it. But I would take it a step further. It's yes, delay so that you can fully feel all the sensations of it, but also begin to reflect upon it. Begin to inquire on what that feeling is within you so that you can better understand what it's actually trying to say to you. And some of the questions that I use anytime I feel this is, what is it that I love that I'm trying to protect right now? What is it that I feel? What of my values do I feel are being violated right now? What of my values do I feel are not being honored in this moment? And by asking yourself these questions, you realize that the sensation of anger itself actually comes from a deep sense of love and self-care. It's not just in self-care, but it's also love and care for others. Now, when anger turns into violence, it is the very condemning of this feeling of inner powerlessness. Typically, people will act out in violence because they're not willing to accept and embrace this actual feeling. And their mind's capacity to actually experience the feeling and hold the feeling is extremely limited. And so people will sometimes act out in violence, whether it's violence in their words or violence in their actions. And this is when anger can be very destructive. Now, the thing is, anytime there is abuse of any kind, whether verbal or physical abuse, typically the person who is engaging in the abuse is actually expressing to the representations of their inner powerlessness. So if you've ever seen somebody, or if you have ever been the person who has hurt somebody that you love, or you've been hurt by somebody that you love, typically what's actually happening is the person who's being abused serves as the outer representation of that person's inner powerlessness. And it's not to condone any of these acts, but it's to realize that anger itself is showing us that raw, vulnerable sensation that we feel we have no control over. And if you take the time to actually be present with it and sit with it and understand it, then you can start to use your anger in constructive ways. You use it to protect yourself, your body, your values, your family, the things that you hold dear in life. On the Zen Stoic path, we talk about this idea of being the warrior in the garden, which is essentially being the person who can protect all of the ideals in your life, training yourself to be able to be this person, expanding your capacity to deal with uncertainty, to deal with difficulty and challenge in life. Part of this is to realize that anger can be used constructively, and it does not have to be something that's destructive. You can use it constructively by using your anger to enforce boundaries that protect you and those that you love, boundaries that protect your values. You can use it to move yourself into action, because there is energy, there is movement, there is power in it. But if we hold on to anger, if we suppress it, if we dismiss it, if we cast it into the shadows of our minds, then we are only hurting ourselves. And if we fail to stop and understand our anger, and we end up taking out our emotions on others, then we're hurting others, and in turn hurting ourselves. So the key is to take the time to actually understand it, to give yourself the opportunity to sit and reflect on it, to delay and ask yourself, what is it that I truly love here? What is it that I care so much about that I'm feeling this intense sensation in my body? What is it that I want to protect? Are there any new principles or rules or boundaries that I need to enforce now in order to protect that which I love in this way? What's most important to remember is that anger points us to our purest form of love, that which we feel a sense of belonging for, the people that we love, what we aim to protect, and that which we deem worthy of sacrifice. The violence that may come out of anger is simply the disavowing and condemning of the sensation of inner powerlessness over the protection of the things that you love most and hold dearly in your life. It is okay to feel powerlessness because most of what is around us is outside of our control. What can be done instead is to actually sit with it, embrace the feeling, delay any actions or words when you feel this, and inquire within yourself, what is this actually pointing to? And what is it that I love and care about so deeply that I'm feeling this intense feeling? When you give yourself the opportunity to do that, you will not only expand your capacity to hold this feeling of perceived powerlessness and fear that you might have of the unknown, but you actually put yourself in a much more centered position to act and use anger constructively in service of yourself and those that you love and everything that you hold dear. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're looking to dive deeper or wondering how you can apply these philosophies into your life, be sure to join our free school community, the Zen Stoic Dojo. In the Zen Stoic Dojo, it is a group of like-minded individuals all committed to the path of unshakable inner peace in their health, wealth, and relationships. There you'll find free tools, resources, courses, and individuals that you can discuss the podcast with and ask your most important questions. Be sure to click the link in the description of this podcast to join the Zen Stoic Dojo on School.